No, they don't.
No, they don't. One does. There's
No,
only one
two
that
of them because they have to balance.
That's barely an action.
No, that's what the trench coat's for. The guy in the
Yeah.
bottom is making sure everybody up on top is up top,
Exactly. That's it.
and the other guys on top just have to stand on shoulders.
And then when they move, they have to balance, though, don't they?
Not necessarily. That's what the coat's for, right? The guy in the bottom pulls the coat down really tightly,
Okay.
so the guy in the middle just has to like hang out, right? The guy on top
What
is
about
like
four halflings in a trench coat, fighting style?
that might be a little different.
Like, there was this whole build around being four halflings in a trench coat eventually.
At every new attack, you just get a new halfling.
Yeah, and the last, or the 20th level ability was the one called Steve.
Ah, yes. The one called Steve.
And Steve would be the fourth halfling.
He unveils himself.
I
am Steve. I have been here all along.
created a new BDEG that creates clones of itself that are perfect clones. And its legendary ability, can summon one of the clones.
It wouldn't be clones. It would be simulacrums that are actually like alive. You'd have simulacrums that are living, because they don't, like a living creature doesn't want to die, right? So they have self-preservation.
Unless they don't have memories.
These are perfect clones.
Well, that's the problem with his creations.
But the point is these things
the
end when
BBG he tries to make simulacrums to save his life all the time, but then the simulacrum has self-preservation and lets him die often.
Exactly. So, but the simulacrum can make simulacrums. That's the thing. Is the clones can make clones.
Yeah, that's the thing.
But can the clones make clones of the clones that make clones?
It's the villain's talking about, by the way.
Yeah, it gets to the point of like the original Baldur's Gate game, if you ever played it. The original Baldur's Gate game is based off of, so it's a god who got like thrown down or cast down by the other gods, or he's a demon actually. I think he's a demon who gets cast down by the gods, told to go fuck himself. So what he does is he puts a little piece of himself in a whole bunch of mortals. When he dies, he puts like a little piece of his essence. So he explodes into, for example, 10,000 pieces. And those 10,000 pieces find 10,000 humans to embed themselves in. And the whole story of the original Baldur's Gate is you're one of these demon shards. And this fucking demon is actually trying to hunt you to kill you so he can reabsorb his soul and become one.
Huh.
That's interesting.
Hello and welcome to the Villains Talk Show and Podcast.
I've only played like...
I am C4.
That's the first two games are actually about that.
I think I played part of
The first two games are on running
I
sequel.
thought I was C4 because I'm the only one with my camera on.
There's also the great Greasy Boy and Insaniac here.
Ooh.
No, I'm pretty sure I'm C4.
I C4.
Hello and welcome.
C4.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen.
Just like to say thank you to our two patrons, Rushala and For the Wheel. If you'd like to support or support the show in any way, you can either just share the show or just like and watch the show, or if you really want to support us, we have Patreon and
Like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, tell your mom, tell your dad.
Yeah, tell your wife, tell your children, tell your wife, tell your
I'm
husband.
still waiting for you to add the panda button to the stream.
Check out the
I worked so hard on
figure out how to do it. I am not
I
technically
worked
savvy.
so hard.
Well then, you can.
Did you really?
You have.
I
full
did. I
access.
spent a whole 2 minutes.
Man.
That sounds like a lot of effort.
See?
Either way, we're here. Today's topic is avoiding disaster. Since I'm not C4, why don't you take it away, C4?
Well, thank you, C4.
Thank you.
Well, I was bored and I was looking up just like all those doomsday hoax things. You know, like Notre Dame is so far. And within the last 24 years, I have personally survived 49 different apocalypses.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have a list?
I do have a list.
Because let's see.
I mean-
let's see how many we can put together.
Those are
So,
predicted apocalypses.
so we have the
Or
predicted.
do you have
So we
ones
have
that are, like,
we have
actually ones that
2012.
have hit?
2012 was a good one.
Y2K.
Y2K. There was June 6th, 2006.
There you go. There's my list.
Wikipedia.
The only
There's...
trustworthy source.
Yeah.
Well, let's see how many we can remember off the top of our heads.
User edited
There's
website.
Elusive Gentleman. I suspect you would know a lot of these.
What, the apocalypse shit?
Yeah.
Oh man.
I always forget them. The only two I
Yeah.
really remember are like the Y2K
after
computer
your pass,
shit
you gotta forget about it, right?
and the Mayan 2012 calendar.
Those
Those were
two.
the two bigger ones as a kid for me too.
Those two were such cock teases.
There was
But
also
that's
'cause-
mostly because
it
I
was
hold
also
absolutely
the-
no credence to Nostradamus and his bullshit.
It's also for me
Yes,
like
so many
20,
But-
2012 was also the year
See,
I
now,
graduated high
that's-
school, so it was like I was so pissed. I thought I was so like hoping the world was gonna end before that I was gonna graduate, so I didn't have to worry about that shit.
So was I. But just to go back to Nostradamus, because it's funny, man. Depending on what you watch or what you look up, there's so much. Like, I was trying to find once, and every so often I try to go back and look for it, but I try to find an original, at least copy or transcription of what Nostradamus actually said, because there's so much bullshit. Because in one sense, I've heard videos where like he named 3 different antichrists, and one of them was named something, and the other one was Hister, and the first one was an anagram for Napoleon Bonaparte, and then the last one is like Anu or something stupid. And then I've heard other ones that are just saying like that he was just completely full of shit and was just some crazy guy, which is completely fair. But like, I want to know how much is just fake, just straight up fake. But you can't find those documents online, no matter how much I've looked.
I'm pretty sure there was a book about it.
I was gonna say there's a book, but his son's the one who put it out.
Well,
Yeah.
Nostradamus lived
So
in
he
the
wrote the book and he
1600s.
left it for his son, and then his son published the book after he had died because
Yeah.
some of what he was talking about in the book was so outlandish he didn't want to get excommunicated.
He lived in the 1600s, so it's not like he lived in a very open-minded.
Actually read the book or anything, right?
Yeah,
Very-
in fact, it was a very closed-minded time.
Yeah, very close.
People were being burned as witches.
Yeah.
Like, if I just do a quick look for Nostradamus, fucking on Google, and the Mayan calendar, wasn't that just a reset of the calendar? Didn't just reset on that day? Nostradamus,
It was just a cycle that
1500s.
ended for the new year that they had to make next. Yeah.
The Prophecies from 1555. This book.
Also because the Mayans were very heavy believers in the Ouroboros and rebirth and recycle, going through a number of different changes over.
I've never heard the Ouroboros tied to the Mayans, but I
That's
do.
why they're-
Neither have I.
They're big believers in the cycle and the moons and the suns and how they recorded the rotations that they had. And they had a sun god that they worship pretty avidly. That's why they had a calendar based around the star maps.
Mm. I just put so much, not even faith, I just put so much hope into the end of the world scenarios that something will happen. Because, like, there are realistic doomsday scenarios that are likely that could happen tomorrow that are more likely than the fucking predictions. Like the San Andreas fault.
That's what's so hilarious.
The San Andreas fault could fall into the ocean tomorrow. As much as everyone keeps saying it, it literally could, and the whole world could be fucked.
There's so many, like, if you think about a lot of the statistics, there's so many ways that you could die and the world could be like fucked up in that sense every day. Like, we have a lot of odds of just getting hit by a meteor at some
China
point,
said today that they're looking into going into Taiwan, and I've been saying for months that Taiwan is the actual Poland of the world right now.
I mean, that's hard to like, even for somebody with, like, on our side of the culture to really see that a whole lot of that, right? Because it's such like a different part of the world.
Not really. Once you start paying attention to politics, follow the money. Always follow the money. And when you look at Ukraine or a place like that, there's no money in it. There's a lot of lip service you can make, but there's no money there. But
there has been a lot discovered there, but I'll let you continue.
But there's not money.
They have discovered connections to Hunter Biden and the energy company that he's been produced. There's a lot of there's a lot of fraud that was going on there, false sales for dirty money laundering.
Who cares? That's
who cares about
that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter.
The energy company. It kind of does.
It does on a social level, but on an actual
part of the world that's like.
No, because when you look at the people who actually have power in the world, it's about money.
Company.
But you're running under the illusion that people have power, and people don't.
I'm not talking about people. I'm talking about money. Like you said, following the money.
But laundering money is something that every rich person does in every level of society. It's just what they do.
Of every society.
Of every society.
Oh, I agree. I absolutely agree. There's nothing. I'm not saying that.
Oh my God!
Following
so
your point to the intro of what it had come from. Right?
What I would say to that point is, yeah, sure, okay. You're like, okay, yeah, you're like they're laundering money, but it's not Taiwan where 100% of the world's microchips are being produced right now, and if a country like China decides to take it over, all of a sudden everything that we use to make our phones and computers and TVs is now basically 100% controlled by an authoritarian regime.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. And what I mean by money in that point is like all the people that make all these super advanced military hardwares in the United States.
I wasn't trying to measure crime sizes. I was just pointing out that there were things discovered there. That's all.
I'm just saying in terms of like
there wasn't nothing that happened there.
If anyone's making a World War II comparison, I would say your Poland, or at least your actual straw that could truly break the camel's back, as it were, would be Taiwan. And if like we're talking about doomsday scenarios, that's one I actually watch very closely. Is the whole Taiwan, and very fun company actually called TAS, the one that makes microchips in Taiwan, the most powerful company in the world, by the way.
I still think it's funny in one sense because it's still like you look at the 1,000 Ways to Die show, and it's just like there's always an numerous amount of ways to really how we're going to fuck ourselves over as a species. But very few people really focus on how to fix things. It's kind of hilarious to me.
But that
shows how small-minded our race can be.
But you have to think of it this way too. It's the cone analysis, right? Anyone who's gotten this, anyone who's listening to this podcast right now, or you or I, especially you or I at this moment, as we're talking, we are one of the lucky humans, one of the small percentile of lucky humans that have made it this far in life, if you think about it. And so it is the cone argument.
I mean as a species in general, not just as like what we've seen and witnessed.
Still the cone argument. We look at it and we say, oh, there's 9 billion people on the planet. I'm so surprised so many of them made this far. But you have to look at it in terms of the actual death rate of the world. what is it? Something close to like 20,000 people die a day. And
Yeah.
you then multiply that times 365 and then multiply that times your age. And that's the aggregate amount of people that have died to the point
that's still
like
that still changes to that full thing of what it
it
depends on what
changes your
focus is. If
perspective.
you're looking at there's many statistics of ways that we could fuck ourselves over and people die. Yes, 100%, but not many people focus on how to fix it. There's not.
oh
You know,
Yeah.
there's few, but not very many.
All-
That's
all I'm saying
But
is
that's
the
just
reason-
because it's-
yeah. All
few
I'm
and far
saying is
between.
the reason people don't focus on that is the blinders. Because the
Yeah.
people who are at this moment still alive have basically blinders on because they've made it this far and they look
Yeah,
around
well,
and
they
see
take it
another.
they take it too granted. In one
Yeah,
sense, you know.
exactly. It just takes it to granted.
For the accurate numbers, according to World Population Review, the accurate number of deaths per minute is 115.
Deaths per minute. So
Yeah.
how many minutes a day?
That's the DPM.
We're doing some math here today.
I mean, if you want, I can tell you the hours instead.
I mean, it's the planet of
Yeah, hours.
when you-
Do me in hours.
It doesn't surprise me in one
That's
sense.
6,928.
6,928 times 24 times 365 times
Race that hasn't
32.
learned how to consume
Since
anything other than
since
life.
I've been alive, the day I was born, roughly 1.95 billion people have died. Throwing that out
That's
there.
it.
Yep.
That's a fair point, honestly. That's a fair point.
That's it.
Yeah.
But that's just on the death rates. Yeah, that's just on death rates alone.
But I mean, like, it's still, it makes me laugh because there's like certain things that could be fixed to solve a lot of that issue.
So-
Kinda like,
There have been less deaths since humans have been alive than there are humans on the planet at the moment.
that's yes.
That makes
By
sense
quite by
because
quite a large number too.
but that
Yeah.
actually makes sense because when I was born there was
We're in roughly
only
the most
think about it,
technically
Jeremy.
safest time for
When you and I
humanity.
were born, there was only about 6 billion people on the planet, and now there's about 9. So that kind of makes sense that the population rate would be still exponentially bigger than the death rate.
Yeah.
So,
Well, because you're on like the death rate would be like
and we're not
roughly the
including
natural
wars.
relation of the
I'm
Earth,
not
but
like
it's like
since
would
I
say
was
50,
born,
but-
there's been like 4 major wars, lots of mass killings. Like we're not. I'm just taking a general census of the death rate, right?
yeah.
yeah.
So like, yeah,
Oh,
no,
no,
That's
it's
where I would
just,
say it
I'm
would
actually
be
a little
like a-
surprised by that number. I figured it'd be a little closer. It's less than a third, roughly.
Yeah. I feel like it would be like more in a certain sense.
I
So
guess.
far, this year alone, 55 million people have been born.
See, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a number too.
Yeah. People bang all the time.
But
on a
that's
pretty-
that's death rates and
fast
birth
scale.
rates. I mean, I guess I'm
And
used
then
to
this year alone, 23 million have died
it. Yeah, that makes sense.
so far.
Birth rates and death rates are. It's a really interesting thing to get into when you go into politics. Everyone wonders why, like some people.
So many statistical numbers that I find kind of silly.
If it helps, right now, the population of Antarctica is between 1,000 and 5,000 people.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
I wonder why it's spiking to 5,000.
Somewhere between there.
Hmm.
They don't have a set number for it.
But yeah, when you go into stats and like actually start looking at death rates and birth rates and mortality rates and infant death rates, like man, you just start seeing numbers and they're always in the hundreds of thousands. And they're just like, yeah, no, this is normal.
Yeah, well, it's just all, but it depends on where you narrow your study down to, right?
It's not even study. Like when you people
Well, that's
don't
where a statistic comes from. It comes from a study.
I guess, yeah. But at the same time, infant mortality rates is not a study. infant mortality rates is
Well, that's
The
a collection.
is a collection of data.
Of a history.
So when
data.
you're a politician and you're looking at putting funding towards, let's say, some sort of disease that's affecting infants, okay? It's not that you're not for it, it's when you're looking at allocating resources, you're looking at the infant mortality rates in comparison to other states, other areas, other countries, and all you're trying to do is you're trying to spend money, but not enough to completely, because you can never get rid of a problem. Just like that's what stats tells you. You can never get rid of a problem. You can only mitigate it. And so
yeah, well, that's just you have to learn how to adapt to it.
But like when you look at an infant mortality rate and it goes, and that number's like 1.9
priorities eventually, but
yeah, 1.9. You're literally wondering. You're literally tweaking how much money you're going to put in, so that number drops down to 1.8 instead of like an actual. You know what I mean? There's such micro shifts in the percentages, but that still equals thousands and thousands of lives. It's still like it becomes a game of who doesn't get.
Yeah, well, it's the lottery, right?
Exactly. It really is.
It's just
really
until,
is.
it's just until it gets to that point where like it becomes a controlled situation, right? But that's like it's something that's not such an easy thing to say and do.
But
where
that's
you can control all aspects of elemental like forces at play, like between sickness, disease, and all these other influences that make it hard. It's never going to be really that easy for a while.
But a lot of people don't realize that's what politics is. That's exactly that's a lot of what politics is trying to quantify these chaotic elements and trying to basically always put the majority of people in the bell curve, right?
Yeah, well,
because
it's hard because that is never there's never going to be a one size fits all problem. And
exactly.
Solution in that regard, right? It makes it tough.
Which then leads into why there will never be a politician everyone likes. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, there's never going to be fully successful and super happy people until like a number of our priorities get fixed and we can kind of like establish things kind of a little bit better.
But it's also why
maybe have less people focusing on when the world's gonna die.
It's also why politicians get looked at like soulless.
I guess that depends on your opinion. On like, there's a number of people look at scientists in that regard too, right? Or like
having been in politics,
if you look at like a space phenomenon, then people look at astrophysicists trying to explain how meteorologists and things like are going to influence.
Having been around politics as long as I have and known a lot of politicians, there are people that have really good hearts that get looked at and shit on by the public because they're ruthless politicians in that they know what they need to do. And that's a real good politician. That's always the trademark of a true politician. They don't care about public opinion. They just do their job, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah, well, that's how you should be in general with your profession. You should kind of operate that way.
It's the ones, yeah. It's the ones that are.
Right.
It's the ones that always seem to do what everyone wants them to do. That stay in their job for a while. Those ones you always have to be worried about, because they're never going to stick their neck out to do anything to actually change anything.
Yeah, well, those are the waiters that wait for something to like to really change shit up.
The waiters.
Then,
that's a pretty good. That's actually a decent analogy.
Right. Well, they're sitting for their moment. That's how it usually is. If you're sitting at court and you don't have the balls
to look like a champion of the people.
Yep. Yeah. Then you're waiting for that moment to be the sunshine. That's usually how it goes. It's always how it's gone. Just so you can look like a big kiss ass. You know, you look like the fancy guy who did something cool for like the 15 minutes of fame for like a year or two.
Woo!
And then everyone forgets.
Yeah, but Trump taught us that, all fame is good fame.
Well, yeah, I guess. To the degree, absolutely.
No.
You could. It depends on the person. It takes a unique person to spin it that way. Not everyone can do
You
that.
just have to be controversial. You just look at.
But yeah,
You just take the most controversial path always, and it'll work. Because people will
It'll
always
just work out
people
for
will
you.
be
Yeah.
stupid enough to be divisive. That's it.
well, yeah, the path of adversity, you're always gonna have something to keep going with, right?
As long as you
There's
bank
always
on
a
people's
reoccurring
stupidity,
customer in that sense.
you will never. And any of our listeners out there, if you ever need to manipulate, never bank on people being smart. Bank on their stupidity, and you'll.
I would say bank on the stupidity, but expect a smart surprise once in a while, because
A smart surprise. Expect
They'll
a smart
throw you-
surprise every
No,
once in a
that's
while.
salty surprise.
They'll throw you a curveball once in a while. It happens sometimes. History has shown that people once in a while get intelligent. Not very often, but sometimes.
Sometimes.
I think you're thinking of a salty surprise.
Well, that comes when they aren't very intelligent. Then they get mad and it becomes a salty surprise and somebody dies.
What? Did you just
Then you
say
get the-
that? You know
Yeah.
what? No, we're not going there.
Yeah, there you go. We know how Paris.
I
had
don't
their
know how.
problems
How
long
many
time
people
ago.
have you killed with your salty surprise in Saniac?
I mean, I've just seen them happen.
I
I haven't
mean-
been a part of any of those salty surprises. Let me tell you. The only
That's
salty
when
surprise
I
is
set
what
you up
what
so
never
good
went
for
through.
just saying my salty surprise is always a mind blowing experience. I set you up so good for that.
Yeah, I'm a cook, and my first thought was food. So.
I know it was.
I was like, the only salt I could put up is in my food, man.
Cum. We were talking about
that's
cum,
sodium.
and you ruined all of it.
Wait, we were?
Yeah, I'm not
Just
always a
talking about pickle
child.
juice.
Sometimes I can be a child, but I'm not always a child.
Jesus.
He's not here.
No, unfortunately, it's just in Sadiac.
So, Y2K virus. Just because I have it noted here.
That was the weirdest one for me, because like I was too young to really like. That was the first one that I had ever kind of heard about.
No, that
Yeah,
actually
my mom worked on that
that
shit.
actually
And I
happened
know the
though.
fuck was happening.
Like a
Oh,
lot
I
of-
know it did.
a
I know
lot of
the
people-
the actual virus went out.
Yeah, a lot of people are like, it's not a virus.
Well, Kate, the Gmail, it was. I feel like
It
it was
wasn't-
like
yeah, it
a
wasn't a
it was like a
virus.
Schrodinger. Wasn't it a
It's not-
Schrodinger's email code?
What they did was they fucked up the dating. So they never believed computers would need 4 numbers for a date. It was
Yeah.
always going to be 1900s, right?
Exactly.
They didn't calculate for the 2000 changeover. So the
Yeah.
only numbers on a date were actually the last 2. The 19 were pre-programmed.
Yeah. Okay.
So when the clock switched over to 2000, computers would stop updating. They would stop running properly. They would stop doing the thing they were told to do because it's not the proper date.
And in America
Right.
and North America,
So that was
it
fucking
wasn't-
with airplane control signals.
North
there's a whole bunch of
America?
shit that got fucked up.
Yeah,
for
It hit-
regulated systems.
It hit a
Yeah.
bit in North America because we were ready for it. Where it fucked up really big.
No, Bank of America took a really big hit, actually. My mom was doing shit with them.
Was it?
specifically.
Okay.
Yeah,
I-
Bank
I-
of America did. She was working with the Twin Towers
I know Russia.
during Y2K, and then after Y2K, she knew people who were still working with like people in there. She actually knew people who was talking to somebody when the tower got hit.
Wow. That's nutty, actually.
Yeah, my mom was like, I was on the phone with Bank of America, and the phone went dead. I've been trying for the last 3 hours, and then the fucking news report came in, and my mom like dropped the phone.
I was like off school when that happened. That was interesting.
I got off school
Yeah.
too. But
I wasn't like
We
I had
sat
that
in
day off.
school.
I wasn't
We
in
turned
school.
the radio up. We were like talking about shit,
I wasn't
which
in
is
school. I just
hilarious
had
because
it off.
I wasn't either. I was told by all my friends.
Nah.
They were like, "No, we didn't do anything in school. We all sat and listened to the radio and like listened to shit." I was too busy out in the field getting high, and then I went home early.
I was like, I think that I was too in my school I was in. They had like those days off. And, like,
It's funny. I missed 9/11 technically.
yeah, I was at school and I just got home. My mom was at home too that day. It was
I
interesting.
went to school and got sent home. We got sent home. And then the next day at school, we went to school the next day and we just watched the news for 6 hours and got sent home. Oh, it was
Yeah, I think
weird.
my school didn't really like address it very much at
It
all.
was like a week of like no school and just watching the news. But
That's so weird.
I was gonna say the one people that got, or the area that got hit big by Y2K was Russia, because all their systems were outdated.
That's
Yeah.
actually part of the reason why Russian hackers are so good now. They basically were
They
like, we're never
updated
gonna
all
let
that
this
shit,
yeah,
yeah,
we're never
right.
going to let this happen to us again.
Yeah, well, that's why they also keep a lot of their stuff on manual paper, because like they're not gonna let that shit get wiped out or reset and shit like that. They're like, I can keep this stuff on paper and like won't get lost if things go over.
Yep.
And then
Burn
the
files
other
will
big one
disappear
I
with the press
have
of a
written
delete
down,
button.
at least the one that I remember, was June 6th, 2006.
What happened that day? I remember that there was something then. I don't
It's
remember.
666 day.
Yeah. I feel like there was something that happened that day. I just don't remember what it was.
I was 16 at the time.
Because my birthday's June 4th, and I
Uh,
vaguely remember some incident that had happened not too long after my birthday.
I do remember one of my best friends, that's his birthday, his brother's birthday, and his brother turned 18 that day. And we're like, holy fuck, you're the Antichrist. I think only like that a shitty movie came out that day. It's just another useless day.
I was gonna say, isn't that whole number anyways like vaguely based off of a loose Latin translation that isn't fully true?
The number 666 is
I mean, the number of the Bible has
in reference
literally
to. Hold on. I know it. I know it.
I know what it's supposed to be mainly in reference to, but I remember hearing
Oh
there's
Lord.
other parts of it.
Isn't it an angel number?
No, it is not.
Well, all numbers are technically like,
Oh.
they're all part of numerology. They have some kind of power stance.
You really wanted to be that elusive?
We lost the elusive gentleman.
He just sees the one that doesn't have a number. He's 0.
No,
Oh,
he's a
empty.
10.
He's
look
the
it
empty
up.
space. He's the empty space.
Let's
in
look up
between.
the six the is it an angel number?
I don't know if it's an angel number. If it is,
Apparently it is. The meaning love. Yeah, okay.
I was gonna say, 'cause
That's what it
there's-
means, yeah.
Yeah, there's because numerology has a different meaning than what actual Catholicism or Christianity has. There's different interpretations.
Jesus,
like,
angel
Wiccan
number.
traditions. It's 6 is used for different things, also in tarot readings as well.
666 is the descendants who returned. Ah, that's right. 666 is the name of the Jerusalem and Judah who descended from Babylonian, from exile. That's right.
That sounds a little more apt to what
Yeah.
I thought there. Yeah, I thought there was a way that had been Catholicism had taken that kind of around the modern Christianity, just like they did with the Christmas tree. The old Yule log.
It's also in the new book of Revelation, but no one really cares about the book of Revelation.
The new book doesn't. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's from my
Pieces
Bible.
that don't make sense that have kind of taken parts from other things to kind of apropos everything a little bit.
Oh, that's cool. In Hebrew texts, it was also used as an anagram for Nero,
Okay.
as a way
I
to.
see. Doesn't it technically like resemble like the
Which is probably how it got the. Which is it said how it got the bad connotations. Was it started with.
Well, isn't that like the same kind of symbology like the Star of David, right? It's six-sided star or six-pointed star. And you can have many, like, stars are just the same as like any shapes. You can have many points to them. You have the pentacle, which is a 5-pointed star.
He chose to not be elusive anymore.
That was so weird. My Discord died on me. And literally nothing else.
Oh,
It just went dead. I'm like, the
was
fuck?
it an update?
The virus hit him.
Yeah, apparently, just as we're talking about Y2K, I got hit.
That's funny.
That's hilarious. The Discord has reset on our
It-
usage.
Yeah, I didn't get a disconnect noise or anything. It
that's
just
what I was
went
saying.
dead.
I
I'm
was
like,
just- I was
why
just
are they so
saying-
quiet all of a sudden? And then they
The-
looked. I'm like, what?
The
That's
That's
how
how
Sean-
said you disappeared because you don't have a number.
Just so everyone knows, the actual number of Satan, according to the Bible and the Old Testament, is 616.
That's I was gonna say I wasn't sure which one.
I
it was.
knew Marvel was evil.
Cool.
Because it still associates the one. That makes sense.
It's also believed to be a code.
Error occurred 404.
Weird.
And there you go. Tesla's 369.
Oh no, 369.
And then they have the 111 code. And then we all know the man boobs code.
8008.
132.
Yep,
Yeah.
the greatest one.
Universal code.
That's the phone number every kid wants. Like really?
That's the phone number every kid did technically have when they had a calculator and they pretended it was a phone.
But could you imagine? I'm surprised actually.
No, someone probably does have that number.
I was gonna say I would.
Yeah.
I've never thought about it, but
7-digit
why?
numbers,
That'd be the
so.
best number.
I would probably get it I'd probably do it backwards though, so it would be like 321 8008.
just
So
to
to start
see,
with,
just
right?
so you doesn't seem like you're a douche. Because I can see that. That's a good. That's a good.
So it's just so it
point.
takes people a second to really think about it, right?
No.
And then
So then you could like feign ignorance and be like, "Oh, what are you, a child? No, this is just my phone number.
It's just my phone number. Yeah. Don't be so childish. Grow up. Who says that? I didn't even choose this number. They just gave it to me.
Jesus, what made you think of that, you adolescent man child?
I bet you typed that into a calculator. When you
What
were
do you
5
think
or
I?
6.
What do you think I think about boobies all the time? It's not even spelt right.
To be fair, if anyone does own the straight or like the straight up version, it'd most likely be a scam caller because they always have the 1-800 numbers.
But it would be 8008.
Well, it'll be prefaced by your area code, right?
Yeah.
So it'd be
Yeah,
like,
I have an
like
825 number. People think I'm
Yeah,
a 1-800 number.
and then it would be 800. It would be 800 and then 8132.
Now we need to see if we can. It's probably one of those numbers you can't own. It's like 6969 696969. You can't own that number. You can't have that number as your telephone number.
Yeah, you can.
What area would you have to live in?
It's like the 555 number 1 2 3 4.
You imagine being. That's another one. Imagine making your number just 555 5555.
I know what you're thinking. That's definitely that number. You have no idea the amount of
You
calls.
have so many telemarketers who would never touch your number because they would think it's fake.
Right? That would be great. That would be so great. Perfect.
Just
excuse.
a little great.
Telling your number to a police officer. Yes, officer,
No, sir, I
my
need your
number,
real
my
number.
phone number is 555
5 5. Yeah.
You don't believe me? Call it.
I use your real number, sir. You think this is a joke?
No, you get it. You make it 7, and it's 7 times. What's your phone number? 7 times. What's your phone number? 7 times.
I feel that, like, because in my phone number, I have 3 4 times in my number.
You have 3 4 times.
Yes, exactly.
So like,
well, if you're actually gonna keep the beat, but yeah.
Ah, you messed up the beat.
but you said there's 3 4 times.
You were
No.
going 2 4 times.
Was I going 2 4? So I need to be
Yeah.
faster.
And now you're going 4 4.
I definitely said in my number, by the way.
But there's 3 4s.
Yes.
You mean your fake number, right?
Yes.
Now, what are the other numbers so that we can
Yes.
dox you?
My fake number.
In fact, why don't you
Yes.
write your number in the chat?
Yes. Along with my credit card info.
No, just your street address.
Yeah. Maybe your mother's maiden name.
P.O. Box.
My childhood pet.
Yeah. Well, the one that the bank asks for.
Yeah.
All right. That's all the time we have for today.
I thought we had another 4 hours.
I'd like to thank all of you for joining us here. I'm sorry you had nothing better to do, but I'm glad you spent it with us here. We are Greasy Boy, Insaniacs, The Elusive Gentleman, and C4. We are the hosts of the Villains Talk Show. The Villains.
Make sure to check out the link tree.
And make sure, if you're listening on the podcast, tune in every Wednesday for new episodes. If you're listening live, every Wednesday for new episodes. And Two Shot Fridays for Two Shot Fridays. I think I hit
Good
everything.
night, everyone.
What about the people who don't listen online and live?
They need to start on Not Live and
Yeah,
podcasts anywhere they get them.
but
I mean,
what day does it come out?
Wednesdays.
I thought it came out on Tuesdays.
Oh yeah, Tuesdays.
Actually donate.
It's
to us
Tuesdays
live.
or Wednesdays. Whenever I decide to get off my lazy ass to do it. It's usually Tuesdays, but Wednesdays could happen too. Bye!
Hi.
Yeah.